Hello, everybody. Welcome back to whatever this is called, the podcast where we talk, you listen. That's kind of how these things work if you haven't figured it out by now. My name is Scott Taylor. I'm here, as always, with Mr. Steven Garcia. Steve, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, man? I'm,
I'm,
I'm I'm itching to get this going because when you suggested this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago actually, I was like, oh yes, okay, this one's gonna be a good one. So,
yeah,
and they
so a
all
few
are.
weeks.
So yeah,
Oh, yeah. And a few weeks ago, we did, a few weeks, maybe more like a month or two ago, we did our first drafting
yes.
episode, and we did time travel movies. And we're coming back to another drafting. We're going to try to do this a little more frequently, where we go back and forth, kind of fantasy style league, and take turns picking movies off of a roster of a category or a specific actor, and just see who can build up the better roster of films. So it doesn't have to be about that person's length of time in the movie, or just that it was memorable, or that they were even just in it, to build up that team, that roster. And then you out there, you can tell us who got the best team. If you could only watch one set of movies the rest of your life, which one would you pick? And this week's one is near and dear to both of our hearts. We're diving into the world of John Candy movies. There's a great documentary coming out soon about John Candy, so we figured it's a good time to revisit and look at the movies that this man, he was a comedy powerhouse. And whether he was the lead carrying the whole film on his shoulders or popping in just a 5-minute cameo that somehow stole the show, spoiler alert, polka, polka, polka. He always left an impression, right? So we're going to go through, pick our favorites, argue over the classics, and probably get way too passionate about some questionable picks. So buckle up, because just like Candy himself, this one's going to be equal parts hilarious, heartfelt, and maybe a little messy. So Steve, you're already feeling good about this one. I think I'm gonna let you go first. I'm not even gonna argue it. I think I'm gonna let you go first on this
Okay.
one.
All right.
No need to roll the
He's
die
already
or anything.
conceding at the beginning, but
I
that's okay.
yeah,
No,
because
I'm
well,
kidding.
see, here's the thing. I think I know where it's going. I think I know where
Yeah.
the number one draft is going, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna let Steve have that. I'm gonna do the underdog list.
Who knows? Maybe it is this. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, this was my first John Candy experience when I was a kid. Let me set the stage here a little bit. It is 1982 ish, and we get our first VCR. We get, I rent the first movies I rent is Star Wars and Cannonball Run. And back in the day, it was only 2 days. You only got 2 days to watch these movies. So, I'd watch them as much as I could before I had to return them. And usually about a day later, I would go back and rent them again. So one of the first movies that I did, along with those two movies I mentioned, one of the other movies I got was Stripes. This Bill Murray vehicle where he joins the army and causes chaos in the army. But John Candy shows up in this one, and this was my first John Candy experience. I didn't know who he was, and I was, 82, so I was like 8 years old, and not knowing who he was or anything. And he shows up as Dewey Oxburger. His friends call him Ox, and he is this. He was the first person. I think Farley probably got it from him because, as you kind of can tell, I got a slight weight problem. No, some memorable moments in that movie for me. Well, basically, he plays kind of like a naive little, like a kid. He's this big guy. My name's Dewey Oxburger. My friends call me Ox. He goes, what does he say about himself in this movie? Because there's this scene where everybody's kind of introducing themselves in the army barracks. This is like the first night, I suppose, after they get their haircuts and they get all their uniform and he says his therapist told him that he swallowed a lot of aggression along with a lot of pizzas. And he plays this kind of lovable lug and kind of the voice of reason, but kind of a naive voice of reason. He has not a lot. He has another memorable scene where he's mud wrestling They go to this. Their drill instructor gets hurt while they're doing exercises, and so Bill Murray, in his infinite wisdom, kind of takes him out on the town. He's all, "Hey, man, let's go." So they go to this strip. Well, back then it was I guess a strip club, but they have a mud wrestling thing, and you have to kind of bid to get into the mud wrestling. Bill Murray bids, and he's like, "I want my friend here." He's talking about Dewey Oxford, and he gets in there, and he mud wrestles these ladies, and then it gets really kind of intense, and so other ladies start joining in, and pretty soon there's like 4 against 1. And it's just a great movie, man. I could sit here and talk about. In fact, I think in Gonna See My Friends, I think we got to do that movie because that's just one of my favorites. Anyway, that's my first one. That was my favorite, and yeah, I'm gonna go with Stripes as my number 1 pick.
You zigged when I thought you were going to zag. I thought Stripes was going to come up for you, but I thought it was going to be a little bit later on the list. I thought there was only one top pick for John Candy just across the board universally, but
are we doing from? I'm just throwing out my picks. If there's
your
a
team is your
to this,
team,
I'm
man.
gonna lose.
You're the GM. You are the GM.
Okay,
of this team, this nerddom.
All right.
No, and maybe it's because I've only seen Stripes maybe once, maybe in pieces probably when I was younger.
Yeah.
The stuff that I have seen I've enjoyed, but I definitely could give it a watch.
I could kind of probably quote that movie to you from beginning to end. I mean, there's just so many good scenes in that movie. And when his first introduction into this, actually, it isn't in that army. It's when they're at the bus depot getting ready to get on the bus to go to boot camp. And he, after Bill Murray and Harold Ramis kind of do their shtick, they're trying to hit on the MPs, which are these two women. And he comes into frame and goes, "Excuse me, miss, or excuse me, stewardess, is there a movie on this flight?" Movie on this flight. And that's his first kind of thing, like introduction into the movie. And it's so fun and it's so funny. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are like, "This is a crazy movie." I mean, the second half is like this crazy, like, invasion movie. It's like, yeah, it's just funny. It's a Bill Murray movie and Harold Ramis, like Ghostbusters, 2 of the original Ghostbusters. Like, I don't know. I love it.
There's a lot on here. There's a lot on here. There's a lot on here that shows just his earnestness, and I'm gonna talk about Hey Vern earnestness. Talking about, like, self-deprecating a little bit with Wade and stuff like that. He wasn't afraid to do that, but with heart.
Yeah.
My number 1 is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
okay.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's classic. John Hughes movie,
Okay.
Steve Martin, Del Griffith.
Yeah.
So many classic scenes in that movie. It's one of the only Thanksgiving movies out there, other than Freebirds, the cartoon they made about Thanksgiving turkeys.
I think Dutch is the movie called Dutch, right?
Dutch with Ed O'Neill.
Maybe.
And
or was that Christmas? Yeah.
It might have been Christmas. He's coming home for Christmas break. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But then there was also
I only saw it once.
Then there was the horror movie Thanksgiving. Have you seen that? It's it's a slasher kind of movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You guys have talked about it on Gonna See My Friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic. You've got so much heart there. So many dialogues there. Even Steve Martin talking about John Candy and just the speech that he gives. It's tear inducing. So you got a lot of roller coaster in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You can make the argument too that he was, a lot of his movies get framed as a comedy, but you could just make that argument that he was just a great character actor. Would you agree with that, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can usually pull something out of each movie that you're like, no, that was just good, like heartfelt acting. Like he had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of emotion there, and you felt that emotion. Like even jump ahead, Great Outdoors when he's arguing with his brother about no one invited you. Like that whole scene there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a comedy, but that
Yeah,
that was very very direct and very earnest, very hard. I'm gonna say earnest a lot because that's what describes John Candy.
that's a good word for it because
Right.
even in Uncle Buck, the stuff that
Mhm.
he goes through with with his sister's daughter, and the things that he goes through with the kids, and there's this kind of menacing thing about it, but and underlying all of that is this thing about that he just loves his family,
Mhm.
and so I think with every movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, especially when we did that, there's this comedic kind of turn in terms of like how he approached the character, but there's this darkness underneath all of that. You can tell,
Mhm.
and as you see more of his movies, you understand that. I feel like you can understand better where that comes from. Even his early roles, you can kind of just feel it, or at least I could, anyways. But yeah,
Definitely layered. That'd be a good explanation of his performances.
yeah,
There's a lot to them. You can take it on the surface
yes,
and be like, haha, look at him. But if you look a little deeper, there's a lot more going there emotionally. So I'm going Planes,
yeah,
Trains, and Automobile. I'm taking that one off the board right up front.
sweet. Damn, that was a good one, man.
So you got a pretty you still got a wide open field here for a number two. There's many ways you can go.
Yeah, I got Jesus. Now that I know that this is kind of all right,
You
I got
just
to make these
build
count.
build your team. Build your team.
I know.
One do,
Well,
do it like Leo.
this
Do it
is
like
a
Leo
this
does.
is
One for them, one for me. One for them, one for me.
well, this was one of my favorites when I did discover John Candy and went through his kind of filmography in the mid '80s or late '80s, I should say. This one I used to laugh out loud. It used to just the little quips that you would have. I mean, he does a lot of character work in this too, and I think it's one of his best. It's really under the radar, underrated. The 1989 film, Who's Harry Crumb? Gotta fucking love that movie. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have.
Okay.
That's my view on it.
He
I have. A very factual answer from me here. Have you seen the movie? Yes. Silence.
these are kind of like these are heavy hitting, but yet they fly under the radar. That's how I see it. He has a lot of disguises. It's a kind of Fletch type of humor, or in terms of characters. He kind of predates Eddie Murphy and his character things. Although Coming to America, he did some character work doing that one. So, but I think it just showcases his talent for using disguises, physical comedy, and then it I don't know you can kind of compare it to the other like I said, Fletch and those other kind of detective kind of comedies, and I don't know. I don't want to compare him to Peter Sellers. I don't know. I don't know if anybody can really come to that, but it's kind of going in that direction in terms of his character work and the physical comedy and disguises and all that kind of stuff. I would say that this is. I mean, it's just the little. Again, it's almost like. Let's see. What was I talking about? It's almost like when you know a movie or a character so much, it's kind of like Bill Murray. These little quips, it's like there's this real legit detective trying to figure out who kidnapped this daughter, this rich man's daughter, and she's trying to make the case of why he's so bumbling and stupid and not fit for it. And he's like, he even has a theory that this is this and this and this and this. And just annihilates him, and then the camera shifts to him, and he just says, "It's just a theory." Little things like that, I think, kind of highlight the way that he approached everything, and the that you can kind of find even humor in the kind of seriousness of whatever's going on in the movie, which like Chevy Chase did and Bill Murray does to it. They perfected that art, but you forget that John Candy was one of those people that could kind of mine a scene, and it doesn't have to be over the top, or it doesn't have to be some pratfall or anything. It could just be a little quip, and that's the kind of humor that I like. Is just the kind of like, well, she's not wrong, that those kind of things of. So that's my
it.
number 2 is who's Harry Crumb.
It can be something as simple as the timing and
Yeah.
the cadence of how you're pronunciating something or how you're saying it. Just that timing and that little aspect of it can just crack you up. It's just, and he was great at that. For sure.
Yeah. It was like there's a scene where he's like offering, at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where he's offering somebody some a piece like a mint or something, and he goes, "Oh, would you like a mint?" And he offers it, but on top of the mint, because he pulled it out of his pocket, there's a used tissue on top. And he's like, "Oh, sorry about that," and she's like, "Oh," just little things that kind of like decorate the joke as opposed to like that, whatever. It's just funny, and that's my number 2 pick. I'm living and dying on that hill right there.
All right. Well, see, and that's 2 that I didn't have on my list, right? They weren't like favorites of mine and big draws of mine, though I've heard of them. I know I've seen both at least once. My pick is going to be probably from my childhood, what I recall him the most from, and then my family would quote. This is going to be 1988's The Great Outdoors.
Oh, that was mine. That was my next one.
Yeah, The Great Outdoors. We talked about it briefly. Dan Aykroyd and Ed Benning. Dan Aykroyd's his brother, who's kind of the snobby elite guy, and piles on to his family's vacation at a cabin home, and then it's just the odd couple on vacation. That's basically it.
Chet Ripley.
Chet Ripley, family man on vacation. So it's Candy versus Aykroyd, which is comedy dynamite. Between the 96 ouncer and the bear attack, it's wall to wall slapstick. Just enough heart to land. It's one of his best straight up star vehicles. You got him chasing a bat. They're all dressed up, trying to chase this bat. The bat's on his face, and he smacks him on the face. So much slapstick in it. Just the sweat he gets while eating the 96er, the old 96er. You can just see on his face, like I've eaten that, so much that I felt like that before too. You can feel everything, but then
I have a
there's
story about that.
But then, go for it.
No. Keep going.
I was just gonna say that
there,
it's the layer of the heartfeltness, right? Because it's a lot of slapstick, but there's a lot of actual family drama there, and he portrays it.
It's a
just
great
so
offset.
Well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to hear about you eating too much.
Oh, geez. So, actually, it was around the time. Let's see. It was like 08, 09, maybe 10. Was I at school? I think I was at school. So it was like maybe 2010. And my cousin had this house in Point Richmond. It's a nice little condo. And he used to take me out to dinner a lot. He still does. But our thing is steak dinners, man. We love a good steak dinner. Cattleman's or these high-end kind of Ruth Chris or Chris Ruth or whatever, those kind of. So this one time I get a steak and it's just the great. Oh, that's what it was. We went to in San Francisco. There's this place called the House of Prime Rib, and so we go there and we just pig out. And they give you more. It's kind of like they give you the pieces prime rib, and then if you want more, they give you a thinner slice. You want another one? Sure. And this is back when I could eat like everything on my plate like twice, you know. Like I love to eat, I still do, but I have to watch what I eat now. But back then, and so I just ate. Get back to his place, and I'm like about an hour afterward, I'm starting to feel like achy, like I'm getting sick. You know, that achy feeling. I think I'm coming down with something, and then I start to get the chills, and I'm like, Jesus, what the hell is wrong with me? Oh no! I'm sorry, that's too fast. So then I fall asleep. Right, the next morning I get up, and I'm still achy. And I start to have this. I can't control my chills. This is about 10 or 11 in the morning. So I take a shower thinking, okay, I just got to chill out. It gets worse. I mean, I can't control my shakiness. So I take some Tylenol. Nothing. So my cousin starts to freak out. And we're in Port Richmond. So he's going to drive me to Oakland to the ER because I'm freaking out because I'm starting to not be able to breathe right. And we get there, and I guess the Tylenol finally hit. And I'm like, just take me home, dude. And he's like, what? Because we were in Oakland, like, or Berkeley maybe, trying to get to the hospital. So he turns around, drives me back to Santa Rosa. And to this day, I don't know what happened. I call it the meat sweats, but I don't know what happened. But I will never eat that much meat again.
See, I've always had this idea of doing a documentary of me and whoever else wants to prepare for it, training to go do one of those challenges, and then renting an RV and driving to Texas and doing the challenge, you know, the big famous one. And just a documentary of, you know, a group of 4 or 5 guys just practicing, and then the road trip there, it's a hero's journey, right? And then you get to the end and you see, you know, could they actually do it or could they not do it? I'm like, that feels like that could be a, you know, a pretty solid, easy to film documentary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary, man. And you know, the meat sweats to me, I just heard about it. I never knew what it was, but I got intense meat sweats and it was nothing to laugh about, dude. And I was fine after that. Yeah. So
he portrays it really well. He eats the gristle.
Oh yeah, like, there was nothing left except bones or fat and gristle, or whatever he says.
If I get him to force down a dessert, you throw in a couple of Paul Bunyan heads for the girls. Just Dan Aykroyd is just so swarmy in it. You know, talking about just sitting there like, what do you look out there? What do you see with the lake? Look, it's beautiful. You know what I see? Undeveloped real estate, and he's talking about a green belt and, you know, medical waste plant and just all this stuff that he would capitalize on. And John Candy just plays off it so well. So Great Outdoors, that's number 2.
Well, Dan Aykroyd too plays this part very well, and he plays he tends to play the swarmy kind of corporate dude really well. He plays it again in Tommy Boy, and not so swarmy, but. Dan Aykroyd is also kind of an equal in this because I think without somebody of that caliber that can, again, they're both Canadian too, so they probably hit it off real well. But somebody that can bounce off somebody, I mean, because John Candy has he's just energy, you know. He's this thing that was like a force of nature, if you will. So yeah, if you don't cast that Dan Aykroyd part well, then it's not going to work. All right. Well, since you hit a good one that was on, I got to go for the obvious choice here. And maybe it's not obvious. Maybe it is. I don't know. But this one is kind of, to me, cemented his place in film history. This filmmaker was famous for his parodies, famous for his humor. I think you know where I'm going. It's the 1987 hit Spaceballs. And I think this one was kind of, for me anyways, I remember watching this in the theaters and not really getting it until it got to home video. about how funny he was and all the other things that come with it. But he plays Bartholomew,
That's my
half man,
favorite.
half.
My favorite bit there. His name's Barf. Like the full name Bartholomew.
And he plays a Mog, half man, half dog. He's his own best friend, and he kind of plays the Chewbacca character, and just great movie overall. The gag lines. I think he was more of the emotional center of each scene that he was in, so it didn't get into kind of what I think Mel Brooks comedies can do, which is kind of get into the too absurd sometimes, where it's just like, oh, okay, kind of lost me. He tends to kind of ground it and center it, and that's what he did with everything. I think John Candy was his talent was to kind of. He has that cameo in Home Alone, and it kind of makes this. He's just the emotional center, I guess I would just say. And so, the film is great. It's funny. There's a lot of things to talk about in that movie. Maybe we'll do that too. As going to see my friend's episode, but it's just he keeps it from being mean spirited. All the humor and everything. So. That's my pick. Spaceballs, 1987.
It came out at right the perfect moment, right? Because it's like if you love Star Wars, why wouldn't you love this movie? Why wouldn't you love to see more Star Wars just being made fun of?
Yeah,
it's the perfect blend of satire for a specific movie there. But yet, Blazing Saddles is based on westerns and stuff like that. But it's got its own story. It's got its own thing going. But Spaceballs is just straight up. Let's just make fun of Star Wars.
and it's just so obvious. And just a little fact of like the thing that kind of I just got like in the last couple of months, which I didn't put together in the years that I've watched this, is that. One of the conditions was that he couldn't dress Lone Star as Han Solo, so he dressed him up as Indiana Jones. And I just thought it was a choice. Mm-hmm. I never put two and two together. So yeah, that's
and they made the deal that you can never do merchandise from it. You can never do figures or anything like that. George Lucas didn't want any crossover there. Kids getting confused with it, and so that makes the Spaceballs merchandise scene all that much better because you're like, I would buy this stuff.
Yeah,
I had a friend during COVID that had Spaceballs the face mask. You could just throw that on anything. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's a solid. This is going a little differently than I thought because I'm gonna pick what I thought you were gonna take, and that's of course Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's peak John Candy. It's a John Hughes film. You got Macaulay Culkin leading into Home Alone here. You've got just the caretaker of kids that shouldn't really be taking care of kids, that classic trope. But then, the heart comes out and that he's doing the right thing, but the wrong way. The scene of him walking through the teenager party is just classic. Just talking to the kids like, hey, all right, he's dancing along with it. Oh yeah. I like the song. It just, hey, you seen Bug? You seen Bug? Just the way he just talks to I feel like that as a middle-aged dude now. Like I feel like anytime I'm talking to people younger than me, I feel like that scene in Uncle Buck. They take his hat and switch. He grabs the wrong hat, puts it on, and then eventually he's like, "Hey, give me my hat." There's so much. There's the car scenes. Just the car being its own character in the movie.
I feel
so
like
much
Uncle Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like Uncle Buck, man. I feel like that's me now. Yeah, because I don't have kids, and I don't expect anybody to call me for like babysitting or anything. But if someone ever did, I would be like, yeah, I'll look after him.
Hmm.
You know, because I had a lot of cousins growing up, and I am good with kids. There was somebody, one of my exes, I think, convinced me that I was horrible with kids, and I just think I'm more of like one of those people that if your kid's horrible, then I'll be horrible back. That's why I don't have kids, because I tend to like, I don't know, man. If someone doesn't like me, I'm like, well, I'm a nice guy. Everybody likes me. But if you don't like me, I'll give you. I have plenty of reasons why to not like me. You know, I'm that kind of dude. And not to say that I hit kids or but you know, I just have that darkness in me, and that's why I don't have kids. Is because I just don't know if I could ever do that. But anyways, yeah, I feel like I'm Uncle Buck. It's a great film too.
Yeah, again, lots of heart there. Lots of the
Yeah,
writing is great. I mean, it's a John Hughes movie, so you know it's gonna have that structure there.
yeah. Well, and I
So
always thought I watched this in the theaters, and I always just thought this was like a drama with some comedy mixed in or
mhm.
sprinkled in, as opposed to. And this is the thing about John Candy movies, and why I was kind of what we were talking about before when we first started this was that there's this kind of underlying thing about him that he's able to kind of balance between that comedy and drama so good. Where I mean, even in this movie, there's a comedy scene, but then there's that party scene, right? And then it kind of balances that comedic kind of thing. But then at the end, with the confrontation with the daughter, it's just like then he could do that too as well, and he does it so well. And God, now that we're talking about him, I miss him so much. His movies,
Yeah.
at least, you know.
Hmm.
Oh,
Do you remember? I specifically remember the day that he passed. I don't know if it's because what I was doing that day or what, but I remember my cousin had picked me up from high school and was going to take me to this like sports bar restaurant. Um, and I remember getting in the car and it was on the radio that John Candy had passed. And so I remember that specific day. Probably it's a conglomeration of everything involved. It's
yeah,
not like when Kennedy was shot
right,
or
right.
9/11 or something like that. It's probably just something that burned in my memory just with all the every aspect of that day. But yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah, I think I you know the mid '90s for me, like '94 to like 97 is a blur. I remember hearing about it, but I think I was just a drunk. I was drinking so much during those 3 years. So I remember hearing about it. I don't remember, was it 96 or 94, 95, somewhere around there that he died? I can't even remember. But yeah, I kind of remember the era, but I didn't really, I don't know if the word mourn is the right word, but I didn't really kind of uh, let it affect me until years
Hmm.
later. You know, of like, oh man, oh geez, you know. And but I remember him dying. I remember hearing about it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
definitely.
was '94. And I
94.
I I
Okay.
I was teenager, so I wasn't like oh man like crestfallen or anything like that. I was just like oh John
Yeah.
Candy died, and I was probably
Yeah.
like oh he was fat that's why he died.
Yeah. You know, yeah.
That's thought when you're a teen, but it's
Yeah.
he
I
lived
think I was
pretty
20s. Yeah, I was
mm,
20. So yeah.
he lived pretty hard, not drug wise, like you can go with like Farley and Belushi and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
he smoked like crazy
Smoked.
and
Yeah.
overweight. Um, yeah. Well,
Sad.
that's fun. That was a fun topic. Everybody having fun out there?
All right, let's get to my
Let's
next
do,
pick.
let's pick it up. Pick something good,
Uh,
Steve. Let's get out of this. Let's get out of this sadness spiral.
all right. All right. Here's a good one. And to kind of keep going with the underrated kind of movies that he did. Probably not a lot of people know this one, or maybe just forgot about it because it's not usually mentioned with his work, his body work. But this one I saw probably in the mid '80s. I went through this kind of devious kind of animated thing. Felix the Cat and all that kind of stuff I wanted to watch. But this one kind of I don't know how to even explain it. It's just an animated show or movie. It's a anthology. It's the 1981 animated movie Heavy Metal. This one to me was kind of the one movie that at the time when I saw it, it was very edgy. And when it came out, it was very adult oriented. But he voices multiple roles in this. There's a couple of segments where he provides his voice, and there's a lot of like sexual scenes and sexual innuendo in these segments. And the two most sexual and kind of for an animated thing, anyways, was the ones that he did, it's one's called he plays a cab driver. Well, basically, the overarching story on all these anthology ones is that this orb is telling the stories of how he defeated all of this evil. He's the ultimate evil, and how he defeated all these people in the universe, because this orb has traveled through time and the universe and stuff. So he's telling this little daughter, like, look into me, and I will show you, what it. And so this orb is telling these stories, and then the first one is this. John Candy did that. He was this taxi cab driver in futuristic New York. His name is Harry Canyon. And he's just this lady comes in and is help, and passes out in the back of his taxi cab, and she's just like voluptuous. She's drawn like voluptuous and all this anyways. But there's this mob boss that wants this orb that this lady has, or lady knows where it is, and they go and pick it up and stuff. And the lady ends up double crossing Harry, and he has this thing in his taxi cab where when somebody tries to rob him or something, his gas pedal turns into a death ray, and it shoots the person in the back seat, and so he ends up having to do that to the lady. But then and then it just kind of goes. I think the most popular one was him being this nerd, and he invents this. He's this nerd in high school, and he's small, and he has glasses, and he invents this thing, and it shoots him into space, and he goes to this other planet, and he becomes this like hulking, like muscular body, and goes on this kind of like adventure, like a sword and sorcery type of adventure. And it's just great. I mean, his voice, you could tell it's John Candy, and it's just fun to watch all of these like cartoony kind of things. It's different kind of animation too. It's not just the same animation. So, that's my number 3 or whatever we're on. Heavy Metal, 1981. What'd you think?
Nice.
Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I mean that's a classic sleepover. Shouldn't be watching this, but we're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
It's classic for that time. That's a deep pull, a good pull.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
No, you.
Just gonna say that's a lot of mine. Just because I felt like a lot of these I wanted to highlight, because I don't think a lot of people highlight, especially heavy metal. That was such a great movie. I liked it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna veer here, because I could go Summer Rental, right? That's the only movie that I've watched to refresh myself on this. Is Summer Rental, and I could go that route, but it's very similar to Great Outdoors. It's just him building up his acting level there.
Yeah.
Not the greatest movie, so I'm not going to pick it, but it is a classic, and I wouldn't fault you if you did. So, but I'm just going to veer. I'm going to veer left. I'm just going to drive into the bridge embankment, and I'm going to take 1988's Hot to Trot. Co-starring
awesome.
Bobcat Goldthwait, Dabney Coleman, Virginia Madsen. He plays the voice of Don the Talking Horse. He's a stock-picking talking horse. It's absurd. It's awful. It's unforgettable. And only Candy could wring the charm out of that premise. It's just he gave us all, even in the strangest projects, and that's what this highlights there.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how you could get this movie made other than the year 1988. Like it's got Bobcat Goldthwait is like a a stock guy, like kind of he's not doing very well or whatever, and then John Candy plays this talking horse that's really good at picking stocks, and so he helps him pick stocks, and then he's like living with him in this like big like apartment and stuff like that. It's a crazy premise, but he does the voice really well. And if you like talking horses, I mean, that's for you. Otherwise, I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to see it other than to see the travesty of the movie. But it's such a crazy premise that I'm going to take it as a pick.
Well, I mean, I think you can, and I've said this on my other podcast, 80s cocaine.
Why did this get made?
Let me tell you about this idea.
It was cocaine. It's like Shakes the Clown, cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's these things. It's the 80s. It's kind of the late 80s too. So it's kind of nearing the end of that influence. Because everybody's saying just say no, and rehab is a big thing. But I think you have the 70s obviously is just pure the balance between overconsumption of that and the artistry of film, right? So you can kind of see it's on the latter half of the 70s, you can kind of see the influence starting to kind of come in. In the 80s, it's just unapologetically just, hey man, I got this idea, right? Okay. All right. This guy,
like,
right?
Just yeah, they do a line that okay, here. People like Mr. Ed, right? People like Mr. Ed? Okay, people like the Police Academy, right? What's that guy with the crazy talking? The crazy talking guy, Police Academy.
Yeah.
What do we do? Mr. Ed, Police Academy. It's almost like it's an improv troupe, right? And there's like, give me an actor and give me an old TV show. and Dabney Coleman.
Chart.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, match this with. Oh, that's great. We haven't done that.
Let's take
yet,
these.
so.
What Venn diagram can we make with these? Okay. What about we should go over here? Oh, Dabney Coleman, Bobcat Goldthwait, talking horse, stockbroker.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like it's great. I mean, there's like you said about this movie. It's I don't forget what you just called it, but I understand the sentiment of like this is horrible, but it's great. It's great in its horribleness, and it's great in its like the idea that this idea came to fruition. So I mean, we have to celebrate those as well, especially when it comes to John Candy, because he could kind of revel in the absurdity of the choices that he makes too, and it's. I mean, you're in the business, you're making money. Hey, yeah, how much is the check? Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, one for them, one for me. But that's it. And you can't sync up a talking horse. I mean, I remember watching so much Mr. Ed as a kid on like Nick at Night and that stuff.
Yeah.
But you just can't sync up a talking horse, especially back then when it was just peanut butter on the gums.
Yeah.
It's just you can tell it's John Candy. It's not like he does like a nasally voice or a raspy. It's just, hey, I'm a horse. It's just John Candy's voice coming out of a horse. That's it.
Oh man, that's good. Good choice. Good pick, dude. I think so. This one is going to be just kind of, I don't know if it's a zag because I think a lot of it is one of this movie when it came out was kind of. This was before the internet, so there wasn't a lot of, like there is now, multiple kind of theories about stuff, right? It was just a couple theories, and when this came out, this is just kind of a new one that everybody kind of flocked to. The writer and director of this movie was kind of hailed as the new, not genius, but just he was the new kid. He had done these other two kind of like other movies that were hits. And John Candy in this movie played just a bit part. I think he was in it for like maybe 5 minutes at the most. But it's the 1991 conspiracy thriller JFK. This one to me, I like. I will defend and stand up. You've seen that movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so he plays Dean Andrews. He plays a New Orleans lawyer. Sleazy but oddly sympathetic. Has a little bit of a accent in there too. And what makes this kind of cool is that he was very nervous, and in the scene he's very sweaty, and you think that New Orleans, it's like hot and muggy there, but he was so nervous to do this for Oliver Stone. He was shaking, and and that kind of shows you his vulnerability too. You know, he was kind of just a regular actor who wanted to make good, do well, not do good. But his shift to kind of a dramatic kind of role, even if it was just for a second, kind of showed his range. And what we were talking about earlier, the depth to which he can kind of pull from, you know. And another thing is that he's smoking while he's eating, which is, I think I've seen that in a few movies. I think I've seen it in The Rainmaker. Just a lot of, that's just a talent I didn't know existed until this movie.
Yeah.
Like how do
The
you do
deleted
that?
scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? Like he's smoking and eating like a chili dog.
Yeah, that's a smoker right there. That's
And they're like, why did he die? Well, he died doing what he loved.
yeah. So I think for me, I have to add that to this list. It's a great scene, great two scenes I think that he's in, and it kind of adds to his legacy, I think. So yeah, JFK 91.
Solid pick.
Yeah,
Definitely, probably his most serious role. You know, like straight up serious role for sure.
yeah.
I'm gonna continue zagging. I'm not
Okay.
gonna. There's other ones that I could pick if I'm, but like this is a great movie. He was great in it, but he's only there for a little bit. This is one where he's there for a little bit more. He plays two roles. It's panned as a terrible movie, but it's a guilty pleasure. It's 1991's Nothing But Trouble. And I don't remember. I think maybe you haven't seen this one. Have you seen Nothing But Trouble yet?
You know, I remember it coming out. I've never seen it, like sat down and watched it end to end. Yes and no, I don't think so. It's not. It's just yeah. I have never seen it.
It's a Dan Aykroyd movie.
yeah.
I mean, look at it on its face value. You got Chevy Chase, Demi Moore,
yeah.
Dan Aykroyd. In it, Candy plays dual roles: Officer Dennis, and then Officer Dennis's sister Eldona. So he's full on, you know, makeup, female garb. It's bizarre, it's grotesque. You just can't look away. He's a small town cop and his mute sister, and somehow he makes it work. You know, it's a deep cut. The big thing I remember about the movie, you know, it's Chevy Chase and Demi Moore get pulled over and they have to go see the judge of this small town, and Dan Aykroyd's the judge. And at one point, Digital Underground, the band, gets pulled in too, and they sing a song for him. I think it was All Around the World, the same song. And he's like, okay, you're free to go. And Chevy Chase and Demi Moore are like, what? You just gonna let him go? They just let him go. And then they're trying to escape. Basically, it's a crooked judge, and it's just a weird fever dream movie. Face value, it looks like there's so many actors and actresses in it that are great. But it's a guilty pleasure. It's something that I'll go back and rewatch. I would have no problem doing. I'm not gonna laud it for its artistic merits or its filmography or anything. It's just a weird movie that you can say this is a weird movie, and I'm gonna watch a weird movie tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with heavy metal for me, is like it's not the best movie, but it's just one of those movies that that kind of just hits. And you know, additional viewings of it, you'll always go back to that reason of like, oh, it's just kind of a comfort thing for me, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel you, man.
So what was that 5? That's 5, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. I
All
got
right.
just one more little quick one.
Well, let's go.
Because in
Let's go
that
6,
same,
and then we'll just talk about whatever other John Candy
okay.
movies that we didn't pick.
Okay. Well, we'll do that now because I feel like that's kind of what I wanted to do was in 91. So he does Nothing But Trouble in 91, but he also does Career Opportunities, Only the Lonely, Delirious, and JFK. And kind of like that's his most prolific year, I think. He does Masters of Menace, Home Alone, and The Rescuers Down Under in 90. So, yeah, 85, he does Brewster's Millions, Sesame Street, Follow That Bird, Summer Rental, and Volunteers with Tom Hanks. And he was just he was kind of like that utility guy, right? He was that
Mhm.
guy that was like, we need somebody here to kind of not be the lead, but can play off the lead and carry the scenes that he's in. And you know, he's just he's a good, like, 6-man off the bench, you know, and
Mhm.
using a basketball analogy. But he was just one of those guys that was just reliable and great to add to your movie if you needed that little kind of punch or a little shot of energy, you know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's he could carry stuff on his own, right?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
shown that he can be up there. Better when he plays off somebody. Like I was saying, Summer Rental. I don't think he really had anyone to play off of in it.
Right.
It was more like he's just the family man, and yeah, he's going against this rich sailboat dude, but and you get Rip Torn. He's playing off Rip Torn a little bit, piratey guy. But when you get to stuff like Great Outdoors, where he's playing off Dan Aykroyd, or you get Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and playing off Steve Martin, like those are the ones where he shines. But you can
Yeah.
take him and be like, we just need someone to nail this role right here and give us either a little bit of comedy or a little bit of recognition, and they could throw him into anything.
Yeah, he was kind of jack of all trades. Not all trades. Well, maybe he was jack of all trades, but he was somebody you could, like I said before, like, and wait, to your point, was like, where are we going with this? Oh, okay, yeah, let's get John Candy in here, or let's, we have Tom Hanks, and because they did Volunteers and they did Splash together.
Mhm.
I think he was in Splash, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. He
Tom.
played Freddie Bauer.
Yeah. So was that one of your movies? One of your picks?
It's on my list. It's on my
Okay.
list. It's I don't know if it'll be number 6, but we'll see.
Yeah. What is your number 6? I want to hear now.
I think out of everything there, if I was gonna go popular vote, I'd probably go Home Alone, right?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Just with the lore of, he improvised a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
His lines in
Yeah.
it, so it shows that aspect of him too. I mean, we're talking movies. We're not talking about SCTV and all this
Right.
prior stuff that he did to build him up into this beast of an actor. Um, I think if I'm just gonna go with my gut, I'm gonna take Follow That Bird.
Hmm.
I'm taking Sesame Street, Follow That Bird. It was 85. I was 5 when it came out. I loved that movie. Bert and Ernie flying in a plane, singing "Come Fly with Me in an Upside Down World." Like I remember so much, and just watching clips, checking into this. His basically one scene where he's a cop and he pulls over the people that kidnapped Big Bird. But he's pulling them over because these two carny guys steal this kid's apple. So he pulls up with his sidecar with the little kid in the sidecar, and just he pulls up the window, and then he just lifts the kid up by the collar and is like, "These the guys?" And the kid's like, very small role, but really, really funny. And just to have him be Sesame Street canon. I mean, he was also in the Put Down the Ducky video. Do you remember that? It was a
Nah.
they made it like a jazzy. You gotta put down the ducky. put down the ducky, and they had a bunch of celebrities like intermixed dancing, and
Yeah.
they had him with the big old like flute or whatever, the
Mm.
clarinet maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Sesame Street canon, so he lives alongside Big Bird and Grover. He lives in that same world, and so
Yeah.
that's why I'm gonna pick it.
Sweet. Yeah. That's cool, man. I was looking through his filmography here, and a lot of people seem to like Cool Runnings too, which came out in '93. I'd never seen that movie.
Really, you didn't see Cool Runnings?
No, I never saw Cool
Oh,
Runnings.
that was your alcohol.
Yeah,
Fury
that
years.
was
Okay.
my heartbroken stage. That was my lost weekend.
The last thing you want to do in that stage is go see Dougie Fresh in a bobsled.
But there was a couple of movies here that came out the same year that I always confuse the two, and I want to see if you've watched them. 1991's Only the Lonely and Delirious. Have you seen any of those?
I think I've seen Only the Lonely. I don't think I've seen Delirious.
Yeah, it's those two seem to bleed together for me because there was I think it was 91, I guess this period where he had these movies that came out that, especially Delirious. I always confuse that with Eddie Murphy Delirious, his stand up from like 82 or whatever year that came out. But that had that song Delirious. And I just never knew what that movie was about. I remember seeing the trailers for that and stuff, but I was like, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look funny to me. So yeah, I just was curious about those because those always pop up in his like best of kind of lists. But yeah, I mean, he was in Little Shop of Horrors, Armed and Dangerous. I remember the poster for that one. Yeah, he's got a lot of great movies, man.
Yeah. What do you think?
What is
What
that?
do you think you snag for number 6? Which one does your heart tell you to take?
I think you've already kind of took Uncle Buck and The Great Outdoors. Those are my two faves. I'm gonna say,
I say take National Lampoon's Vacation, man. Like,
how
iconic is that scene? That's movie royalty.
Sorry,
right
folks.
there.
Park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
How anytime you go somewhere it's closed or you go to a theme park, you say that line, right?
I've said it many times. Yeah, that's a good one, and I'll probably go with that one because Vacation is a favorite movie of mine, and it's kind of it's kind of the thing of what we were kind of highlighting is that his kind of ability to kind of be injected into a movie that's been kind of already established in terms of its tone or whatever, and he's able to kind of go in there and kind of contribute, right? So this is a good example of that. And I think from what I've read, I haven't did a deep dive on Vacation, but I think they redid the ending, and so they called the other security guard and John Candy. That was like a last minute redo, and yeah, they did it. And like I think he got paid. I can't remember if he got paid next to nothing or if he got paid a lot. I can't remember, but yeah, he just came in, did it, and then he was out. I think it took like a day or half a day or something. Good one,
it's just a classic pick. And to tie in with he could come in and just do a scene and that's it, but still do it really well. Like you talked briefly about like career opportunities in 91. I had never heard of it. And so looking through research for this episode, they have the full scene that he's in, just one scene. And it's a great scene. It's just him, pitching, he's offering a job. Someone comes in, he thinks it's the wrong person, and he's offering him, like a CEO type job with, $45K a year or $43K a year. And then he talks him up to 45, but then he's really proud that he got him for 45.
Yeah.
he talked about bear claws. He's like, "Oh, I want some bear claws. I should stay away from myself." It's all that self-deprecating candy, but with that heart behind it.
Yeah.
And he could just step in and literally 5 minutes, and that's it, in and out of the movie. But such a good scene and just highlights his acting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't wait for that documentary to come out because I'm going to see it. I'm going to see that. There was, I think around maybe the time he passed, there was a little like because he had passed doing like I think Wagons East or something.
Yep.
Wagons East. Yeah, yeah. And so I think that Entertainment Tonight, and now the passing of John Candy. Those kind of things where they have different stars kind of talking about him. But I remember someone saying something to that effect of like he was just able to kind of bring a warmth to any role that he brought, even if it was dramatic or comedic. It was never, even the evil stuff, if he was playing evil, had some sort of like wink, wink, nod, nudge, nudge to the role. So yeah, I'm waiting
He's
for
one
that
of those.
doc.
He's one of those that you look at it and you're like, it's John Candy playing a role, but you're kind of willing to step beyond that and accept him for the role that he's playing because there's always a piece of him in the character itself.
Yeah.
Some actors, it's tough to separate them from the role, and it's like, no, this was John Candy. Like it's John Candy playing someone, but it doesn't take you out of it. It just it elevates it because like, oh, it's John Candy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other actors where it's like they're like, oh, that's that actor, and you can't take them for the who they're actually supposed to be portraying.
Right. Yeah.
That same thing happened, but you didn't care. It was John Candy.
Yeah, I mean, and you see that with like The Rock or certain actors nowadays who just come in and kind of take over the movie or scene or whatever, and it kind of sometimes it takes you out of the movie, right? Like, and to your point, like that happens with John. You're like, oh, John Candy, and then all of a sudden you're in. Let's see where this goes. You're invested, and it's always funny, and it's always or whatever it's supposed to be. But he does it so well that you're right. It doesn't take you out of the movie. It kind of adds to the flavor of like, oh wow, they got John Candy do this. Oh sweet, And so,
yeah, it's anything with John Candy in it is a watch, right? Even if it's 5 minutes or 90 minutes, you're in for a good time. At least for whenever he's on the screen, the laughs, the heart, the weird deep cuts that we've gone through. And now it's your turn, America. It's your turn to tell us who built the better candy roster. Did I lock down the classics, or did Steve somehow sneak away with the win? Hit us up. Cast your vote. We'll do some postings on Instagram and all those social media type places. Let us know whose picks would you rather sit there and watch if you couldn't watch any John Candy movies other than this. Steve's looking. He's watching. He's cleaning the screen. So listen, which lineup you'd actually sit down and marathon? Which one would you pick if you had to say, hey, this is John Candy Fest? Because just like John Candy himself, the draft doesn't work without a little audience love. So we'll do more of these draftings soon, but let us know for this one, how'd we do? Who wins? Tell us, America. And till next time, we'll see you from whatever this is called, I guess. Goodbye, everybody.
bye.